Hi, in celebration of a Dia de Niño, Day of the Children, in Western New York, I, Oswaldo Mestre, working for the city of Buffalo, working for the mayor of the city of Buffalo, would like to read the following book. And it's called Spider Sense Spider-Man. Spider-Man versus the Lizard. And we all know about Spider-Man, right? I hope that you enjoy it. Again, I just want to thank you just for sitting and listening and letting me tell you this story on today, Day of the Child at Dia de Niño. All right, let's begin. Okay, so we all know about Spider-Man. We all know about him being a superhero and him wanting to do all of the great things and helping other people, but we don't know about this one particular story, and I want to be able to read it to you. And so, okay, here, talking about Spider-Man, there are a lot of characters or a lot of people who knew Spider-Man. And so we all know who Spider-Man, his name is Peter Parker, right? And Peter Parker is just a regular kid with a big secret. Hello, he's also Spider-Man. Then there's Mr. Jameson. And so Mr. Jameson is Peter's boss. And so we all have a boss. You know who my boss is? My boss is the mayor of the city of Buffalo. He runs the city. So he's my boss. He kind of whispers and tells me, like, we should do this and do that. And I work for him and I love it. Absolutely love it. And so Peter's boss is Mr. Jameson. And so he wants Peter's to take his job. Peter's job is to take pictures. It's to take pictures for Mr. Jameson for the newspaper that he works for. Then there's another person that we're going to be reading about. Her name is Mrs. Connors. Mrs. Connors, she needs Spider-Man's help. So we're going to learn a little bit about Mrs. Connors, okay? And then there is the lizard. Did I say the lizard? The lizard. And the lizard, Mrs. Connors' husband has a terrible accident and he's turned into a lizard. Can you believe that? We can all believe that sometimes we have accidents and things happen. And so Mr. Connors' husband had an accident and he turned it into the lizard. Okay. All right. The theme of this, can Spider-Man find a cure for the lizard before it's too late? All right. Welcome to Florida, Welcome to Florida, Parker, said Mr. Jameson. Now let's get to work. Yes, sir, said Peter Parker. But what's the story, he asked. Mr. Jameson wrote on a pad. Here's the headline, he said. Peter, read it. Monster lizard loose in swamp. You can see that right there, right? That's Mr. Jameson. Peter took his camera to the swamp because Peter works for Mr. Jameson. It's quiet, he said. Suddenly, Peter heard a terrible roar. Roar! Okay, that kind of scared me too. And he leaped into action. I may be a skinny kid on the outside, Peter said, as he puts on his mask, but I'm also Spider-Man. Remember I told you Peter Parker is Spider-Man? He said, I may be small, a skinny kid, but once I put that mask on, I'm Spider-Man. You can see that. Can you see that? Spider-Man swung towards the sound of the roar. Remember I told you that big roar? He then saw something horrible, big and green. Ooh, a little scary here. Gee, how did a little lizard grow up to be a big green monster like you, said Spider-Man. And what's with the lab coat? You see that? See how Spider-Man swing? You see the lizard right there? The monster roared at Spider-Man. Roar. And he used to be Dr. Curtis Connors until I drank this potion. And so that's what he's saying. He says, I used to be Dr. Curtis Connors until I drank this potion. Now I'm a lizard. The lizard lashed his tail. Whew, you know how the lizard, got the little tail in the back? Lashed his tail. It was like, trying to hit Spider-Man. And knocked Spider-Man down. Hey, watch that thing, said Spider-Man. See, that's the lizard. And he was talking to Spider-Man. He tried to get that little tail. And he knocked it down. Spider-Man said, "Hey, watch that thing." "I am making a giant lizard army," said the lizard. "I will rule the world." "That's a slimy thing to do," said Spider-Man. The lizard picked up Spider-Man in his powerful claws and threw him in the air. Uh-oh. You see? You see how he picked him up? Uh-oh. Spider-Man landed in a tree. "Talk about crash landings," Spider-Man said. There were big and hungry crocodiles under the tree. "Time to floss," said Spidey. Spider-Man shot out his strong webs and shut the crocodile's jaws. You could see, because Spider-Man has webs, he could, whatever. You could see right there, he was caught in the tree, and he put the little webs around the crocodile because he was trying to eat him. He said, "Well, I got you." Then Spider-Man saw a house. The name on the mailbox was Connors. Spider-Man swung down on a web and knocked on the door. A woman answered. She was crying. And she told Spider-Man that she was the wife of Dr. Connors. You see, that's the house, and that's the name, and that's the lady. She was crying. That's the wife right there. Okay, you see Spider-Man. Underneath that lizard skin, "He's still my husband," she said. "He is Dr. Connors and the lizard in the same body." "Dr. Connors is just like me," thought Spider-Man. "I'm a kid and a superhero in the same body." Remember we told you about Spider-Man? He's really Peter Parker, but when he puts the mask, he's Spider-Man. And so there's Mrs. Connor, and that's her husband, and she's kind of sad. She's like, "You know what? Although he's a lizard, right? That's still my husband, right?" And over here, Spider-Man is like, "You know what? He's like me a little bit. You know what? During the day, I'm a young kid. I'm a boy, right? When I put the mask, I'm somebody different." Mr. Connors showed Spider-Man her husband's lab. It's like a laboratory when you make a lot of stuff in it, right? "This is where he made a potion to regrow arms and legs the way lizards can," she said. "He wanted to help people, but something went wrong." And so now you see Spider-Man, you see Mrs. Connors. This is the laboratory, right? Right? And he said, "I wanted to do something." He wanted to help people, but something went wrong with the potion, right? "Dr. Connors is a good man trapped inside an evil monster that he can't control," said Spider-Man. "I must find a cure." Hours later, the cure was ready. "I've done it," cried Spider-Man. "The lizard must drink it before it's too late." Look at that. Spider-Man, he's in the coat. He's like, this is the laboratory. He's fixing things. He made a potion. Look at that. Go ahead, Spider-Man. Smart guy. Just then, the lizard came in. "Perfect timing," said Spider-Man. Spidey tried to grab the monster, but the lizard slashed his claws and snapped his jaws. "Ooh, that's a cold-blooded thing to do," said Spider-Man. Spider-Man sprang away and shot a web. The lizard broke it with one thrash of his powerful tail. Remember I told you about that tail he had? And you can see the lizard came in. You see how he's coming? We see the jaws, everything got. And then you see Spider-Man, he had to shoot the web, right? That's what I say, "Listen, wait, I'm going to help you. Wait. Right? The lizard opened his jaws to roar. Rah! Spider-Man saw his chance. He was like, "Ah!" He opened up his jaw. "Ah!" Right? Spider-Man saw his chance, and he poured the cure down the monster's throat. When he opened it up, he says, "I got you now." Right? The lizard thrashed and roared. He said, "No, what are you doing? No, I don't want to drink that. No." I can't tell if it's working, cried Spider-Man. And you can see Spider-Man, right? He had all of this right here, and he poured it down his throat, right? He's like, no, no. And then he's like, wait a second, I don't know if it's working. He's just, look at it, he's a lizard, he's turning into something. Wait a second, I don't know. But suddenly, the lizard skin became flesh. I'm human again, said the doctor. I never got any pictures for my story, Spider said quietly. You know, Spider-Man, he's Peter Parker. Peter Parker works for the newspaper for Mr. Jameson. He takes pictures. Thank you, said Dr. Connors. It's good to be myself again. It was hard to be one thing on the outside and another thing on the inside. You can see, like, this is with the lizard. He turned back to a man, right? And that's Spider-Man. He's like, man, I didn't get no pictures, really? And so he's thanking him. He's like, you know what? Thank you very much. I'm a human again. I'm going to be that person. I really didn't want to be that other guy. But this is who I am, right? I know, said Spider-Man. Believe me, I know. And that's Spider-Man right there. He's flying off. And so, great book. And the moral of this story is sometimes we are somebody that we should not be or not. And so we have to always find Spider-Man found it inside to realize that he wasn't a bad person. He did something to want to help other people. But so Spider-Man, instead of like doing something and trying to arrest him and whatever, he said, you know what? Maybe I need to help him. So maybe somebody is doing something that's really not themselves. And so you have to look beyond that, right? You have to say, you know what else can I do? And that's what Spider-Man did. And that's why I like this book, right? He said, this wasn't a lizard. I'm Spider-Man. I know what it is to be two different people, but I help people. And I'm going to help you to get back to yourself. All right. Again, I want to thank, you for being around just to listen to hear one of my favorite stories. I love reading, and you should read too. And take this opportunity to read, and find out more about the world and stories. So today was about Spider-Man, but what's your story next? Thank you again. My name is Oswaldo, and hopefully we can do this again. And again, I like to thank and I like to celebrate El Dia de Niño, a day of children in Western New York. Thank you.